December 16, 1773, Boston Harbor. A simple tax was about to change the world forever. But that's just the beginning. What if I told you that tariffs, yes, those seemingly mundane trade taxes, have secretly shaped every major event in modern history, from sparking revolutions to toppling empires? These hidden fees have wielded more power than armies. And right now, in 2024, another tariff crisis is brewing that could reshape our entire world order. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why that should concern you. Welcome to the top 10 most shocking ways tariffs changed history forever. And trust me, number 1 will make you question everything you thought you knew about global power. Before we dive in, consider subscribing to join our journey through history's greatest plot twists. Now let's count down the most mind-blowing tariff stories ever told. Number 10. The Navigation Axe. Imagine if Amazon suddenly announced that every single product in the world had to go through their warehouses. Sounds crazy, right? Well, that's essentially what Britain did in 1651 with the Navigation Axe. Picture this. You're a colonial merchant with goods to sell. But here's the catch. You can only use British ships, British sailors, and British ports. Every single time. But wait, you might say, surely the colonies wouldn't stand for this. And you'd be right. That rebellion would eventually lead to something so massive, it would change the fate of every nation on Earth. But more on that explosive conclusion when we reach number 1. Number 9. The Corn Laws. Let's jump to 1815. Britain had just defeated Napoleon, but they're about to face an enemy far more dangerous than any French army, their own starving population. The Corn Laws might sound harmless, but here's the shocking truth. These grain tariffs made bread so expensive that families were literally choosing between eating and heating their homes. Why? Because a group of wealthy landowners had convinced Parliament to effectively tax food itself. But in 1846, something unprecedented happened. A conservative prime minister was about to betray his own party to save his nation. The fallout? It would transform global trade forever. Number 8. The Zollverein. Now, what if I told you that a simple customs union achieved what centuries of warfare couldn't? Unite Germany into a superpower. The year is 1834. The German states are a maze of 39 different territories, each with its own tariffs, currencies, and trade rules. Moving goods across this economic nightmare was like playing the world's most frustrating game of bureaucratic hopscotch. Enter the Zollverein, the trade agreement that would inadvertently create an empire. But here's the twist. This seemingly mundane tax treaty would set the stage for events that would eventually plunge the entire world into chaos. Number 7. The European Single Market. Fast forward to 1993. Europe, a continent that had spent the last millennium embroiled in conflicts, was about to attempt the impossible, creating the world's largest free trade zone. But this wasn't just about eliminating tariffs. It was about ensuring that a continent that had given us 2 world wars would never see another. How? By making countries so economically interconnected that war would become unthinkable. The results were staggering, but here's what they didn't expect. This experiment would create an economic superpower capable of challenging even the United States. And speaking of challenges to power. Number 6. The Opium Wars. Imagine being the world's most powerful empire for centuries, only to be brought to your knees by a trade dispute. Welcome to the Opium Wars, where tariffs triggered one of history's most shocking falls from grace. In the 1800s, China was losing massive amounts of silver to British tea traders. Their solution? Restrict trade and crack down on illegal opium imports. Simple enough, right? But here's where it gets dark. Britain's response would shock the world. They didn't just want trade, they wanted total economic control. The resulting conflict would force China to accept the most one-sided trade deal in history. The Treaty of Nanking didn't just open ports. It began what China calls its century of humiliation. And guess what? The echoes of this treaty still influence every major trade decision China makes today. Number 5. The GATT Agreement. Picture this. It's 1947. The world is in ruins after the most devastating war in human history. Leaders are desperately trying to prevent another global conflict. Their solution? A trade agreement that would change everything. The General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, GATT, might sound dull, but here's the mind-blowing part. This single document laid the foundation for the modern global economy. Think about your smartphone, the clothes you're wearing, that coffee you had this morning. None of that would be possible without what GATT set in motion. But there's a twist. This agreement would eventually create something so powerful it could make or break entire nations, and in 2001, it would face its greatest challenge yet. Number 4. China joins the WTO. December 11, 2001. The World Trade Organization accepts its newest member, China. Markets celebrate. Politicians congratulate each other. Everyone expects this to usher in a new era of global prosperity. They had no idea what was about to happen. Within just 2 decades, this decision would transform China into an economic superpower, reshape global manufacturing forever, set the stage for the biggest trade showdown in modern history. But here's what everyone missed. This wasn't just about trade. This was about altering the global balance of power. And the aftershocks, they're still reverberating around the world today. Number 3. The Smoot-Hawley Tariff. The year is 1930. America is struggling through the Great Depression. 2 politicians think they have a brilliant solution: raise tariffs on over 20,000 imported goods. Their goal? Protect American jobs and kickstart the economy. They were about to make one of the worst economic mistakes of the 20th century. The Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act sounds like something from a dusty economics textbook, but what happened next was pure economic catastrophe. Within months, global trade collapsed by 65%. 26 countries retaliated with their own tariffs. World trade spiraled into chaos. But here's the terrifying part. The same warning signs that appeared before Smoot-Hawley, economic historians are seeing them again today. Number 2. Japan's forced opening. Imagine being the most isolated nation on Earth. For over 200 years, Japan had shut itself off from the outside world. Trade with foreigners was punishable by death. They called it Sakoku, the closed country. Then, in 1853, everything changed. American warships appeared in Tokyo Bay. Their message? Open your ports for trade or else. But here's where the story gets fascinating. Japan didn't just open up. They turned their entire civilization upside down. In just 50 years, Japan transformed from a feudal society into a modern superpower. They built a world-class navy from scratch, created an industrial economy, shocked the world by defeating Russia in war, all because they were forced to drop their trade barriers. But the real shock, this transformation would ultimately lead to events that would reshape the entire 20th century. Number 1. The Tea Act and the Boston Tea Party. December 16, 1773. Boston Harbor. A simple tax was about to ignite a revolution that would change the world forever. The British Empire thought they had a foolproof plan. Give the East India Company a monopoly on tea sales to the colonies and add a small tax. What could possibly go wrong? Everything. Absolutely everything. But here's what most people don't know. The Tea Act actually lowered the price of tea. So why did it trigger the most famous tax protest in history? Because this wasn't really about tea at all. It was about something much bigger. Who has the right to tax whom? The rallying cry. No taxation without representation. What happened next would shock the world. 342 chests of tea, worth $1.7 million in today's money, dumped into Boston Harbor in a single night. This wasn't just a protest, it was a declaration of economic warfare. The British response, crushing sanctions that would become known as the Intolerable Acts. But here's the mind-blowing part. This simple trade dispute didn't just start the American Revolution. It created a template for revolution that would inspire independence movements across the globe for centuries to come. Modern connection and final thoughts. As we speak, new trade wars are brewing. Nations are using tariffs as weapons. Economic sanctions are reshaping alliances. Sound familiar? History isn't just repeating. It's warning us. Every tariff war we've covered today started with simple trade disputes, but they all led to world-changing consequences. The question isn't if another tariff will change history. It's which one and when. If your mind is blown, consider subscribing to join our community of history enthusiasts. We're diving deep into the hidden forces that shape our world every single week. Drop a comment below. Which tariff stories surprised you the most? And what modern trade disputes do you think will make it onto future lists like this one? Want to explore more fascinating historical connections? Check out our playlist on economic decisions that changed history right here. Until next time, keep questioning everything you think you know about history, because the biggest plot twists, they're usually hiding in plain sight. See you in the next video.